Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When we were trying to get this podcast off the ground, we had so many questions. How do we record an episode? Where do we find background music? How do we get our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places that people like to listen? And where do we find advertisers? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and 100% ridiculously easy to use. Anchor makes it simple to get up and running. You can upload and schedule your podcasts ahead of time. It publishes to all the major podcast platforms. You can easily check your stats. I could go on, but instead, why don't you go and get started? Go to anchor.fm/start to join the e-commerce minute and a diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
It's the E-commerce Minute, your daily dose of e-commerce, tech, and retail news with your hosts, Bart Mraz and John Suter. The E-commerce Minute is a production of Sumo Heavy, a digital commerce consulting firm in Brooklyn, New York, and Philadelphia. Find us on the web at sumoheavy.com. It's E-commerce Minute, episode 312.
In today's episode, Alibaba chairman Jack Ma to step down.
Alibaba founder and executive chairman Jack Ma has announced he's getting ready to leave the company he founded. Ma and 17 others founded Alibaba way back in 1999. Ma is currently the chairman and was CEO until 2013. Since then, Ma has gone on to become one of the richest men in China, with a net worth estimated at around $40 billion and the 20th richest in the world, according to Forbes. Alibaba is Chinese e-commerce leader with a market cap of around $420 billion, with more than 66,000 full-time employees. Ma also controls Ant Financial, which was valued at about $150 billion after a recent fundraising round. The company, much like its American counterpart Amazon, has diverse business holdings not only in e-commerce but entertainment, mobile payments, food delivery, and cloud computing. It reported a total revenue of $23 billion last fiscal year. Ma is not technically retiring, but is instead focusing his life to education and philanthropy. Ma, a former teacher himself, is a strong advocate for education in China. He has started a foundation that's being modeled after the Bill Gates Foundation. The Jack Ma Foundation, which he founded in 2014, is chiefly dedicated to improving China's education system, particularly in rural areas. Last year, it pledged over 300 million yuan, or $45 million, to fund teacher training programs over the next decade, with a goal to end poverty in rural areas. Ma told Bloomberg, "There's a lot of things I can learn from Bill Gates. I can never be as rich, but one thing I can do better is to retire earlier." Alibaba expert Duncan Clark told the Wall Street Journal, "Jack overseas and at home is the most recognizable symbol of the China internet explosion and, more broadly, the China consumer boom." Good luck to Jack Ma.
I love that he says that. He can't be as rich as Bill Gates. Well, this is kind of fun. I mean, it's following the rest of these guys, right? Eventually, they just step down and do good things.
Well, the one thing that struck me, he said, "At the age of 54, I'm a bit old in the internet industry, but quite young for many other sectors." If that doesn't make you feel old. But he's actually really has always been into education. And I think when you get to that point in your life where you've made the money you're going to make, and you've done it, and you've done all these things, and you look and you say, all right, what is the next chapter of my life? How can I do good? You know, it's like Bill Gates did the same thing. He's like, come on now, I have all the money that I could ever need. What can I do to make this world a better place? And I admire guys being able to do that instead of just sitting on their money and sitting on the beach.
Well, I guess you get tired of pressing buttons at some point in your lifetime.
You get tired of pressing buttons. He also said something like, I wish I had this quote, something like, I don't want to die behind my desk. I'd rather die on the beach, like as a metaphor, because they were all like, they made a big deal about his retiring because he's a huge figure in China. Like he's kind of like he's kind of like Bezos. Like Bezos does all this wacky stuff. Like Jack Ma, he does. He did that Michael Jackson thing at their conference one year, and he's like a real celebrity over there. But I think the problem that Alibaba and other Chinese tech firms are dealing with is that the Chinese government still has a ton of control. And what has happened is the China internet boom over the last, we're going to just say 10 years, all of a sudden the Chinese government's going, whoa, let's back up a second here. And I think they're going to start, locking these guys down a little bit and trying to controlling some of the growth. I mean, they're already censoring the internet. So I think that's the next step. Like they're going to really start locking some things down. And
right.
I think he just took a look at this and said, okay, I've done all the good I'm going to do here. Let me move on to the next chapter of my life.
I'm tapping out.
I'm tapping out. Tapping out.
Tap it in.
Tapping it and tapping out. Yeah. So Jack Ma retiring. He hasn't actually said he's retiring. Like it's not like he's okay. November 15th, lights are out. It's one of those because it's such a giant company, and he's so integral in that. I think it's just going to be one of those things where it's like a gradual thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, nobody's in Jack's office anymore. How about that?
I think he's going to be in that office a lot.
It's funny because I've since we've started doing this podcast, I read a lot about Alibaba because I kind of have to, and they're involved. I mean, as much or more in diverse businesses like Amazon is. And I just read the other day, it's like they said, you know what? We can't rely on these people and make chips anymore. We're going to make our own chips for our cloud services. Like they're going to make their own chips. That's how much money these guys have.
Yeah. I mean, Amazon is starting to do that too. So it's good. I mean, they have to do it.
And if you have the money, why not?
Exactly.
All right. That's Jack Ma retiring. You got anything else, Bart?
Well, that's it, sir.
All right. If you can, I was going to say, if you can, go to our webpage. If you'd like,
do you need those chips again?
I think I need a chip in my brain right now.
To be fair, we've been off for a bit.
Yes, if you noticed, or maybe if you didn't notice, we were on hiatus for a week, so we're a little bit rusty here. But we're back in action. Full episodes are available at ecommerceminute.co with full show notes and other goodies. And please, if you like the podcast, please go to iTunes, give us some stars. That'll really help us out. And we're available not only on Anchor, but iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify,
You
Alexa,
name it, we're on it.
You name it, we're on it. We're on 10, 12 platforms somewhere. We're everywhere. We're everywhere you want to be. So subscribe, sign up, do all that good stuff. And we appreciate your support. That's your e-commerce minute for today. We'll see you on the internet tomorrow. That's it for today's show. If you like the show, do us a favor and subscribe or leave us a review on iTunes. And don't forget, you can now listen to the e-commerce minute on your Amazon device. Just add e-commerce minute to your flash briefing. And finally, if you have a comment or suggestion or just want to say hi, find us on social media at Sumo Heavy.